Hi everyone. In today's session we are going to create a financial model for a warehouse. The idea is to create a dynamic financial model from scratch. The video will be divided into small parts, which will try to cover and explain each and every small tasks and concepts involved in creating the financial model. So let's move to next slide. Before we start creating any model, we need to develop full understand of asset. Let's start with the key characteristics of warehouse from the model's perspective. The first one is their construction. Unlike the office and retail building, wherein building are constructed at first place, and then owner starts its search for tenant. The warehouse assets are constructed as per the specifications of tenant. These specifications can be different across the sectors and tenants. In terms of size, the warehouse's units are much bigger than office and retail units. In some cases, entire warehouse is owned by a single party. For this case study, we have considered a warehouse with single tenant. The lease term of warehouses are longer than other asset classes like retail and commercial. Since these units build as per the specific requirements of tenant, they may not be fit for another tenant. The lessor's expectation is to earn the target IRR within the lease term. In most of the cases, the lease term is equivalent to economic life of a warehouse asset, which is around 15 years. After the expiry of the lease, the expected capex to refurbish the building is a significant cost. The maintenance cost of a warehouse building is higher due to its specific requirements like cold storage and security. Let's move to next slide. In this slide we are going to understand the basic cash flow structure of a warehouse in terms of its timeline, regarding how cash moves within the project. So deals start with the land acquisition. The land is acquired on day 1 of model, which is also the model's start date. Post acquiring the land, the developer applies for the approvals for construction. Generally, it takes around 3 months to receive the approvals. After the approvals are received, the owner will start his search for potential tenants. It takes around 3 months to find a tenant. And once the building layout and rentals are finalized, and lease agreement is signed, the owner starts construction of the property. For this case study, the construction period is assumed as 15 months, which may vary in actual. Once the construction is completed, the lease starts. However, tenant is required to do internal fit-outs, and generally owners provide a rent-free period to adjust those fit-out period. Post fit-out period, the property start generating the rental income for remaining tenure of lease agreement. And once the lease expired, the property is required to incur the refurbishment cost, which is required to make it fit for another potential tenant. And same lease cycle will continue for next lease term. We are required to create a financial model, and the basic flow of model will be as per the flow chart mentioned in this slide. However, there can be additional sheets as per the requirement. The objective of the model is to generate cash flow forecast for next 30 years and computation of land value at given IRR. In terms of inputs, we have model's timeline, project timeline, area statement, inflation assumptions, land acquisition cost, construction cost, operating assumptions, maintenance cost, and terminal assumptions. So we're gonna solve this case study in our next videos. Hope to stay connected with you all.